Once upon a time, in a land far away, lived a sweet and gentle girl named Ella. She had eyes the color of the sky and a heart full of kindness. Ella lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters, who were not kind at all. They made her do all the chores, from scrubbing the floors to mending their clothes. Because she often sat by the fireplace covered in cinders, they cruelly nicknamed her Cinderella. Despite their unkindness, Cinderella remained cheerful. She found friendship in the little mice who scurried in the kitchen and the birds who sang outside her attic window. She would share her crumbs with them and tell them her dreams. Her biggest dream was to one day feel happy and loved, just like in the stories her mother used to tell her. One sunny morning, a royal messenger arrived with a grand announcement. The king was holding a magnificent ball at the palace in honor of his son, the prince. Every young maiden in the kingdom was invited. The stepsisters were wild with excitement. They talked for days about the beautiful gowns they would wear and how they would dance with the prince. Cinderella's heart fluttered with hope. "Oh, may I go to the ball too?" she asked her stepmother. Her stepmother sneered. "You? In your rags? You'd be a disgrace." The stepsisters laughed. "Besides," her stepmother added with a sly smile, "you may go, but only if you finish all your chores and find something suitable to wear." Cinderella's heart leaped. She had a dress. It was her mother's, old but beautiful. She worked faster than ever before. She swept the hearth, polished the silver, and scrubbed the floors until they shone. When she was finished, she ran up to her attic room. She pulled out her mother's dress, a lovely gown of pink and white. With help from her little mice and bird friends, she added new ribbons and bows, making it look almost new. Feeling hopeful, she went downstairs. Her stepsisters were ready, dressed in their gaudy, bright gowns. When they saw Cinderella, they gasped. For a moment, they saw how lovely she looked. But jealousy quickly took over. "Those are my old ribbons," cried one. "And that's my sash," shrieked the other. They tore at the dress, ripping the ribbons and pulling off the bows, until it was nothing but a tattered mess. Heartbroken, Cinderella ran to the garden and wept. "It's no use," she sobbed. "My dream will never come true." Just then, a shimmering light appeared beside her. It grew brighter and brighter, and in the middle of it stood a kind-faced woman with a sparkling wand. "Don't cry, my dear," she said in a gentle voice. "I am your fairy godmother, and I'm here to help you go to the ball." Cinderella wiped her tears and looked in amazement. The fairy godmother smiled. "First, we'll need a coach. Go and fetch me the largest pumpkin from the garden." Cinderella did as she was told. With a tap of her wand and the magic words, "Beep-beep-bobbity-boo," the pumpkin grew and transformed into a magnificent, gleaming golden carriage. "But what about horses?" Cinderella asked. The fairy godmother pointed her wand at 4 little mice hiding nearby. "Beep-beep-bobbity-boo," and they turned into 4 proud white horses. A plump rat became a cheerful coachman, and 2 lizards became smartly dressed footmen. Cinderella clapped her hands in delight. "Now for your dress," said the fairy godmother. With another wave of her wand, Cinderella's tattered rags dissolved into a breathtaking ball gown, the color of a moonlit sky, adorned with sparkling diamonds. And on her feet appeared the most delicate pair of glass slippers imaginable. They shimmered and shone like crystal. Cinderella looked at her reflection in the fountain. She was a princess. "Oh, thank you, fairy godmother," she exclaimed. "It's more than I ever dreamed of. You are welcome, my child," the fairy godmother said. "But there is one very important thing you must remember. The magic only lasts until midnight. On the final stroke of 12, everything will turn back to the way it was. You must be home by then. Cinderella promised she would remember. She climbed into the golden carriage, waved goodbye, and rode off to the palace. When Cinderella arrived at the ball, everyone turned to look. No one recognized the girl in rags. They only saw a mysterious and beautiful princess. The prince himself was captivated. He had never seen anyone so lovely. He walked right past all the other ladies, including the two stepsisters, and asked Cinderella to dance. They danced all evening, waltz after waltz. It felt like a dream. The prince was charming and kind, and Cinderella felt as if her heart could fly. They talked and laughed, and for the first time in a very long time, she felt truly happy. She completely forgot about the time. Suddenly, the great clock in the tower began to chime. Dong dot 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 dot. Midnight. Cinderella gasped. "Oh, I must go," she cried, pulling away from the prince. "Wait, I don't even know your name," he called after her. But Cinderella was already running. She hurried down the grand staircase, so fast that one of her delicate glass slippers fell off. There was no time to go back for it. She leaped into her carriage just as the 12th bell rang. As they raced away from the palace, the magic began to fade. The carriage shrunk back into a pumpkin, the horses into mice, and her beautiful gown into her old tattered rags. She was home, left with nothing but wonderful memories and a single perfect glass slipper. The next day, the entire kingdom was buzzing. The prince had fallen in love with the mysterious princess and would not rest until he found her. He had found the glass slipper she left behind and declared he would marry the maiden whose foot it fit. The royal duke was sent to every house in the land with the slipper on a velvet cushion. He tried the slipper on every princess, duchess, and lady, but it fit none of them. Finally, he arrived at Cinderella's house. The stepsisters could barely contain their excitement. The first stepsister tried to squeeze her large foot into the tiny slipper, but it was no use. The second stepsister tried, even curling her toes, but she couldn't get it on either. The Duke was about to leave when he asked, "Are there any other young women in this house?" The stepmother scoffed, "Only my scullery maid, Cinderella." But the slipper would never fit her. Just then, Cinderella, who had been watching from the shadows, stepped forward. The Duke insisted. The prince's orders were to try the slipper on every maiden. The stepmother tried to stop her, but it was too late. Cinderella sat down, and the Duke gently slid the glass slipper onto her foot. It fit perfectly. The stepsisters and stepmother stared in shock and disbelief. Then, to their utter amazement, Cinderella reached into her pocket and pulled out the other glass slipper. At that moment, the fairy godmother appeared once more. With a final gentle wave of her wand, Cinderella's rags were once again transformed into the beautiful, sparkling ball gown. The Duke knew at once he had found the true princess. Cinderella was taken to the palace, where the prince was overjoyed to see her again. He recognized her instantly, not just by her beauty, but by the kindness in her eyes. Cinderella forgave her stepmother and stepsisters, for her heart was too full of happiness to hold any anger. Cinderella and the prince were soon married in a grand celebration. They ruled the kingdom with fairness and kindness, and they lived, as all the best fairy tales end, happily ever after. Now close your eyes, little one, and drift off to your own sweet dreams. Good night.